located at a 0-foot side yard setback, where 3 feet is the minimum. Where 3 feet is the required minimum on a sliding scale, and a 0-foot rear yard setback where 3 feet is the required minimum. Is the applicant representative here?
Yes, that's me.
So do you want to present the project?
Yes, I guess I don't need to share my screen, but I can run through the project. There is an existing retaining wall bordering the properties between myself, 6808 and 6810 Del Monte Avenue on our eastern property boundary. And that retaining wall also extends around the southern border of the property, bordering the Tewksbury Reservoir, which East Bay Mud is the owner for. Yeah, if you scroll down, you should be able to see there. If you scroll a little bit, onto A101 page, you can see on the right-hand side here, there's a diagram for kind of like an existing retaining wall on the property boundary. That retaining wall has cracked and failed in a number of locations. It's 3.5 feet tall, like at its height, which is over the 3 foot. I don't think it was ever a variance originally, but essentially as part of our remodel, the wall has become an issue where we understand it's undermined, it's already failing as an existing wall, and we want to replace it and shore that up. I think we were all happier and feel safer if the Gray's property did not, sink into our backyard. So this is a proposal to replace in kind that wall with a new one. The detailed plan set you have available shows where the wall will extend from about the midway point on the eastern boundary of the property, extending to the far south and then going along the rear. And a drainage system will be installed as part of that to manage runoff from the golf course and the Tewksbury Reservoir, which has been pushing on the wall itself. I guess questions so far?
So the maximum height of the actual, is it CMU or is it concrete? What is the?
It's going to be a concrete and rebar retaining wall. There'll be some piers installed for supports at the property where it's closest to our house. Part of that is that we've keyed the fat footing of the design into our property instead of into the Gray's property. And so, yeah, we have some pier installation going on there. And then, it just runs the property boundary from there.
And the maximum height of the retaining wall is 4 feet 6 inches, or?
I think there was a revision sent to Contractor Planning. It's about 4.5 feet. So I think this is the first version we submitted to planning, and there was a correction submitted. So this might be the original version. But the length of the wall is all correct. The height of the wall is, I think it's 4.5 feet at its highest point.
And did you say you're moving it from the footings from the adjacent property over to your property line? Is that what you said?
So the existing wall doesn't really have like a footing. So it's just fallen over time as water's pushed on the wall, and it's kind of like shifted into our property. The new wall will have, instead of an L key on the footing that goes under the Gray's property, where the soil from their yard holds it down and so more than it gets pushed over, as would be typically done. What we've done is we've done the footing into our property, so that we don't have to excavate significantly into theirs. And part of that is that along the side of the property where it is closest to our house, there isn't quite enough space for the full footing key to go into our property. So we've done piers that go an extra, I think it's like 4.5 feet deep, so that we can structurally hold that up.
Okay, thank you. Now are there any other speakers on this? So you're all here in support of the project. Okay. Well, your drawings are really clear and your explanation is great. And I think I just will send a recommendation to the planner on this for approval. And then it's in the planner's court for the next step.
Okay.
So I will, let's see, whoever's email is on this application here. Let's see, from you, I have Tristan.
Yes.
So I will copy you on the email that I sent to the planner recommending approval. Okay.
All right.
Any
Thank
questions?
you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for all being here.
Thank you.
It's great when we have someone we can actually talk to and answer questions for us.
Yeah, I'm the homeowner as well, so I'm best interested. And if you haven't already seen, the house itself is almost done with its renovation as well. So
Oh, you know, it seemed like it had just been remodeled prior to this major
yeah, there's a whole
renovation.
story.
I was really curious about that driving, if you just have a minute to share the story, because I really liked the first, just looking at it visually, the first remodel, and then I drove by and it's like, it's all torn up. It looked like it had just been redone.
Yeah, we bought it from some flippers. Let's just say that they did not do the best of jobs, which we kind of knew when we purchased it and we had a plan for
Uh-huh.
long-term renovation. But I think that the day we fully moved in, there was a huge storm and the flat roof, they had put a new kitchen vent in, but they hadn't properly fashion sealed it. And then they had
Uh,
failed to provide, like, they blocked the downspouts off the roof. So it basically became a swimming pool with the only entrance being into the
oh,
house. So there was quite significant internal damage, as well as a number of other things about the property which hadn't been very well maintained for like 70 years. So we kind of got pushed into having to do a major renovation. And it was one of those, you start pulling on one thing, you pull on the next.
one
And
more thing.
very, yeah. And the retaining wall was the one thing where we were like, that's not looking great, and we weren't sure, and it wasn't in the original scope. And then we finally started construction, and when they were digging out the footings for the rear extension of the house, they were like, yeah, this wall is going to come down at some point and you need a plan for how to replace it. And unfortunately, it's just one of those. There's a lot of water back there. We think that East Bay Mud has a like a natural spring or some kind of water feature we found on a geological survey. They've got it capped, but it dumps a lot of water behind our properties, and so that wall has just taken a lot of beatings over the year, and
Right.
it's now time to figure out how to deal with that. So one extra thing on the project. But
Well, thank you for the extra explanation.
yeah, a little more history of what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is at 1511 Poplar Avenue in Richmond, and the project description is to request approval of a variance to allow 0-foot side and rear yards where 3 feet is minimum for both for a replacement retaining wall that is 40 feet long with a maximum height of 5 feet. So I guess this will just be on the recording. I did go out to look at both of these properties, and at the Poplar address, I was kind of walking back and forth trying to get a visual into the back of the property, and person living in the house came out to ask what I was doing. So actually she said, come on in. And I really got to see what was going on. So let's see, where do I share this if it wants to be on the?
You can just add the camera there.
Okay, so I did take a picture, and you can see this is the existing retaining wall that is, you can see it's moving forward. And here's a little bit more full picture of the retaining wall with a fence above it, shared with this property owner and the next store property owner. And in looking, my only issue with this project is that the drawings submitted show an elevation of only the retaining, the concrete CMU retaining wall, and they don't show an elevation of the fence that would be above it. And I am concerned that because it's not part of the record, and I did ask the person who was living in the house, and they weren't sure what was going on completely. She assumed it would be replaced, but I do have a concern that it's not part of the actual drawings that we see. So I did tell her that we would probably discuss it. She said she would not be at the meeting, and that we would probably put a condition of approval that the project includes replacement of the wood fence in addition above the existing and the new as it is in the existing concrete wall, CMU wall.
Okay.
So based on that, I would recommend approval of the proposal with the condition of approval, recommending that not only the CMU retaining wall be replaced, but it appears that the wood fence above it will need to come down in order to do that between the applicant and the adjacent neighbor, and that the applicant include drawings and elevations to demonstrate that they will also replace that wood fence.
Okay.
Okay,
That's good.
okay, and that was. There's nobody here for public comment.
Yeah.
I guess we're done.
Easy peasy.
But I am really,